After watching this episode of ReZero, I think it's going to be very hard to compete with this level of writing, to the characterization, to the development, to the voice acting, the sound effects, and the visuals. Just everything in this episode was something way better than any of the other episodes from ReZero. And also, this is just my personal opinion. I'm not even going to say this as a reviewer. I'm just saying as my personal opinion. This episode of ReZero, I think out of everything I have seen from this year, everything I have seen, this by far is my favorite episode of any anime series I've seen so far from this year. I'm not even joking. This is by far my fucking favorite. This is really good. Yes, that means higher than Boku no Hero Academia. And yes, I know JoJo is amazing, but I'm just a big sucker for psychological themes. It's why I love Berserk. It is why I love Tokyo Ghoul. It's one of the main reasons why I love those two series. The psychological, mentally unstable themes. And seeing this episode, the way it focused in on Subaru, his mental insanity, I was just blown away. Because the way it was done was so tasteful. It was so cringy, the right type of cringe. And the way it was delivered, the build up to it, spectacular. Honestly, phenomenal episode. It was a fucking phenomenal episode the way this was done. And I feel like what really won me over was not just the writing when it came to the, the insanity of Subaru, but it was actually the voice acting. The voice acting really carried this episode. Like, it hard carried this episode. When it came to the insane madman that is, like, the leader of the witch's cult, and he's talking to Subaru in this episode, the way he carried himself, he was a scary type of character. The voice actor nailed it. But it was also the demeanor, the way the visuals were done. The way he just kept moving, he looked so creepy because he had this very interesting atmosphere about him. He was a person that seemed like he was just crazy in one moment and very stern and serious in the next. The way he shifted back between his mood swings was something that is terrifying. If you want to know anything when it comes to someone that is probably crazy or scary or evil or whatever, that's the type of person. Someone that shifts between moods. Someone that can be happy and smile at you and, be your friend and hug you. The next moment, he's shoving a fucking knife in your back. That's kind of the type of character that was. I mean, he was just being jolly, like he was just acting all nice and stuff. And then all of a sudden, he goes into creepy mode and he's licking Subaru's eyeball, which, oh my god, legit cringe. But that was a good cringe because it set up the atmosphere of the episode. So, when it came to everything of this, one of the key contenders for probably one of the best moments of the episode. Like, there's a lot of best moments of this episode. I can't even choose one. There's just, the entirety of this episode was delivered properly, even when it came to the beginning. They even skipped the opening song because there just had to be so much put into this episode. And then the ending song, too. Holy fuck, that ending song. I haven't seen a good ending song ending like that. Like, the way it, has the song over the visuals going on for, I don't know how long. It was just that good. So, let's talk about one of my personal favorite moments besides the Subaru insanity. The scene to when Rim is twisted and mangled. Her corpse is just completely twisted and broken. It was one of the most horrific and gruesome scenes I think I've seen all year long. And I've seen some pretty dark shit. I have. I read a lot of dark shit. And that right there, that was pretty fucking brutal. What happened to Rim, that was honestly something that would make any normal man go crazy if you see something like that. I mean, Subaru's already been through a world of shit. He's been through so much shit already. He's constantly died, brought back, and has to relive these different events and see people die around him. And when he's dealt with his own stress very recently, we got to see a very bad side of Subaru. And then now with this episode, he has to deal with it once again. He's thrown back into the suffering, and he has to see this person that really cares for him, and even goes as far as to, after her corpse is mangled and bent into different locations where her arms are twisted around, her head's completely twisted around, legs, and as she hits the ground, you think she's already dead, but amongst this, she manages to use whatever's left of her mana, her heals enough to be able to crawl to Subaru and help him escape. And then she dies in his arm after she says, "I love you." That is a scene of fucked up tragedy. That is some tragic shit. It really is. And you know what that reminds me of? Achievement pointed this out. And it's not me that really thought of this first, because like I said, Achievement pointed this out on Twitter. They said, or I said first, I said, this reminds me a lot of Tokyo Ghoul, like when it comes to the insanity, to the psychological trauma. It reminds me of Tokyo Ghoul, and honestly, it still does. But someone pointed out, honestly, this reminds them of the Eclipse. And thinking about it, it kind of does, because let me explain the details here. You have it to where Subaru, he's chained up. He's locked up in a cave. He can't move. He has chains on his arms. He can't get out. He can't move, okay? He can't really do anything. The only way he could possibly kill himself is by biting his own tongue. And probably because of how much rage he's in or how pissed off he is, he probably didn't think about that. So he's just sitting here not being able to move, and he sees his girl that he's been traveling with. In last week's episode, he said some awful things about Rim, and he knows it. He remembers that type of shit. He knows what he said about Rim, which probably led into his mental breakdown in this episode, which I will get into that in a moment. So, after all of this, and after he's chained up and all that, he sees Rim come in trying to save him, beating the shit out of Witch Cultist, and she's trying to do anything to save him. But then, as I said earlier in this video, the madman, the leader of the Witch's cult, the sloth dude, he straight up, he goes into a serious mode. And as I said, that's the scary thing about his character, because he shifts between these moods. He's a happy-go-lucky guy, then he's a guy that'll just slit your fucking throat on sight. And when you see how he goes into the serious mode, and when he just completely mangles Rim like it's nothing. And we know Rim is pretty damn strong. Like, we know she's not the strongest, but we know she is kind of strong in a way. And just to see how he easily dealt with Rim like it was nothing. Granted, Rim probably was weakened and all that. I mean, we could kind of factor that in. I mean, look at her fucking arm. The state of her arm was horrible. Still, this man was able to lift up Rim and shatter her body with just words. It wasn't even that hard for him. So this man has power to back up his insanity. And you know what's even worse than someone that's crazy? It's someone that has a lot of power and someone that can do a lot of damage. And that right there is something that is terrifying about that man's character, because he can do some devastating shit alongside of just crazy dialogue. So that man, holy hell. So the scene when Subaru can't save her, and he does this to Rim, it reminded me of the Eclipse, or the Chiba reminded me of the Eclipse, and I was thinking like, okay, this is just like what Griffith did to Casca, and then how Guts was having to watch. That's exactly what this was. That straight up is what this was. Where Guts was watching Griffith do those awful things to Casca, that's what Subaru had to deal with in this episode. He was watching shit go down with Rim, and he couldn't do nothing about it. Now, of course, Berserk had a little bit more of an extreme measure to that scene, but still, when I'm being reminded of Berserk in this series, and I'm still gonna say, Berserk is my favorite fucking manga of all time. When I am being reminded of Berserk, that means that this series really, really, really got my interest. It definitely got my interest after something like that. And even Tokyo Ghoul, too. Reminding me of Tokyo Ghoul, that's a feat, too. Like, that's straight up a very good feat. So, well done, ReZero, for that well-executed scene. And I think what really got that scene so much more emotion in life was when you see Subaru, how he's struggling, he's grunting, all these different voices he's trying to make. He can't do nothing. And he's like, I'll kill you, I'll kill you, I'll kill you, as he sees Rim just being twisted and dying. That, oh my god, I really think that voice actor that voices Subaru, he needs a pay raise. He straight up needs a pay raise. Now, you know what? Every character in this episode needs a pay raise. When it comes to the Madman, when it comes to Subaru, Rim, they all need a pay raise, because this episode was spectacular for many, many good reasons. And honestly, it may be just because I'm going into full fanboy mode right now, but I personally have nothing wrong with this. I don't see much wrong with this episode. The only thing I could see wrong is maybe the art and animation. That's it. That's it. But everything else when it came to the directing of the episode was well executed. So, the mental, insanity and all that going on with Subaru, how crazy he is. This is something I really enjoy about manga, anime, any literature. I just love crazy characters. I love that so much. It's because it's just so fascinating to figure out what they're going to do next, because they're so unpredictable. That's what crazy characters are. You can't really guess what route they're going to take because they're just that crazy. And Subaru's been going through this struggle recently. We know he is broken. We know he's been through a lot of shit. And he's already shown complete signs he's well past insane. And I like how in this episode, the crazy man is giving a lecture to Subaru and telling him he's not really insane. And that made me start thinking. It really made me start thinking because the dialogue that was used in that scene, go watch it for yourself if you don't believe me. Go watch that scene again when Subaru and this man are talking, or Subaru's not really talking, he's just grunting. The man's talking to Subaru's like, why are you acting mad? Why are you acting crazy? And then as soon as I heard this, I'm like, what? Like, I'm like, what? Like, I'm thinking in my mind, like, obviously, the crazy man is the one that's saying Subaru is not crazy, and I'm like, okay, this is just very strange. Like, I mean, of all people to say that, this man. So, I guess Subaru isn't to the level of insanity as that man. Maybe that's what he's doing. He's doing a comparison. But even then, though, he's saying Subaru was acting. And we do know this man can shift between serious moments and comedy moments. Or not comedy moments, just this jolly self. And the way he was acting around Subaru when he was saying that type of stuff, he was in his serious mode. He was like, why are you acting? You act like a very sane, crazy man. Yeah, it's a poorly acted madman. And he said these words and all that, pretty much implying that Subaru is just wanting sympathy from people. And I'm like, did our character just get fucking exposed in a way? Like, did he just get fucking exposed? Now, hear me out. I know Subaru is probably crazy, okay? I know he is. Now, probably not a crazy we're all thinking. There is one line that the man says to Subaru that really, really kind of emphasizes what the writer of the series has been trying to do for these past couple episodes. What has been one of the main subjects in these recent episodes of ReZero? To showcase the bad side of Subaru, how awful he is, how shitty of a person he is. That's kind of what these recent episodes have been about, showing his inner self. Instead of just having this pretty boy, perfect, main character, we see some actual flaws with his entire self. And the main purpose of it was to show you how he expects something from his good work or something, or he expects sympathy or pity or whatever. He expects something from Amelia. And in this, when you have it to where the madman says, after he just meeting him, he's like, are you wanting just sympathy and all that? Is that what you want because you're acting crazy? And I'm like, holy fuck, this goes along with Subaru's character that's been shown for these past couple episodes. Now, like I said, granted, Subaru probably is a little bit broken. I mean, if you saw people constantly die and you died and all that, you probably break too. I mean, that's common sense. But there might be something else going on here. Maybe the one word that really ties it in is that he says, if you were really insane, you wouldn't even care how I look at you. You wouldn't care what other people do. You wouldn't bat an eye. You wouldn't bat an eye to anyone looking at you. You'd be like, ugh, just staring off at a rock wall. You wouldn't even care. And that got me. I was like, oh my god, that is true. I mean, if he was truly crazy, like really crazy, like mad crazy, like the way he's acting, he wouldn't be able to look at someone and kind of realize what's going on. Because there's multiple moments in this episode, Subaru kind of knows what's going on. I think there's like 3 examples in this episode. You have it to where the witch's cult attacks them on the carriage, and Subaru acts like he's kind of a little bit fine compared to how he previously was earlier on in the episode and later on. And then you see it to how he reacts to the witch cultist, leader, Sloth. He reacts and he looks at him all terrified and scared, and then he starts acting like, crazy and stuff. And then after that, the way he snaps out, he's like, I'll kill you, and he starts talking to Rem. It shows that, in a way, some of the things this man might be saying could be a little bit accurate. It could be. And it might be a form of maybe Subaru has just went so far past crazy, he's just now mad. He's just straight up madness. And that's kind of how he is now. It's not like he's crazy to where he's just loopy and stuff, but he's crazy because he's just so far gone, he doesn't even know what to do anymore. He doesn't even know how to act. And it's not like he can really avoid these things either. Even if he was to die, he would just get reset with good health once again, but he'll still remember it, and his mind slowly taking a fucking hit. So, I just wonder, I mean, did our character Subaru get exposed in this episode about his mental insanity? But even then, though, what really got me was the scene to when Subaru, he leaves. Like, he leaves the entire thing after, he breaks out of the chains, or Rem breaks him out of the chains, and after we found out about all the stuff that happened, you see to where he's leaving, and he's holding Rem and all that. Well, now, at this time of looking at it, we don't really know if Rem is alive or not. I'm assuming she's dead, and he's just carrying her body, probably because he's a little bit crazy and doesn't realize. But anyways, he's carrying Rem through the snow, this hard, harsh weather, through the village, through the road. He carried her a very long ways. And it was very sad because this man, you could see how much he really cared for Rem after that moment. After all that happened, he really cared for her. And as he's, carrying her through the village, you see all the villagers that are slaughtered. It's kind of like a reenactment of last week's episode. He eventually makes it to the mansion, and everybody's kind of dead. You see it to where Rom, she's in a little bit of a different spot than compared to how she was before, Subaru died the first time. She's up against the shed, and you see all the cultists on the ground dead. It's snow everywhere. So much snow, in fact. When Subaru walks through the gate, he sees this huge figure just bust out of the mansion, and instantly, I kind of already assumed who it was, because earlier on in the episode, there was a key sign who it was. You heard a voice when Subaru was in the frozen hallway, when he, put his hand on the door, his fingers broke off and stuff. We heard a voice right before he died completely. It sounded like Puck. It did. It was exactly like Puck. So, I kind of guessed who that was at the end of the episode. When you see the big figure, and then, my daughter and all that, you heard the voice say, my daughter. And there's only one character in this, series that has kind of said, my daughter, and that would be Puck. Puck has said, my daughter to Amelia quite a few times, actually, in ReZero, so it's kind of obvious that that was Puck that said that at the end and killed Subaru. And we do know that there's hints that Puck is pretty damn powerful, and Amelia did say a while ago she did have a trump card with Puck if things went bad, so that most likely is it. Puck was just killing everything on sight with his power. So yeah, you have it where Subaru has died twice thanks to the axe of Puck. But I think Puck killed Subaru in this, the last time in this episode was probably out of kindness. I really think that's what it was, because Subaru's already experienced so much, and I feel like Puck kind of realizes that, and he understands, and I feel like Puck just, killed him just to let him go at ease. Probably killed him, just didn't want him to suffer anymore. Little did Puck know, Subaru's going to have to suffer even more, because he's going to have to figure out a way to save them. So, let's talk about what's going on, the actual foundation now for this arc. So, we now know that Subaru, he is being reset to the point when he's in the town, before he leaves the mansion where he was getting healed at, and so this is after the conversation with Amelia. For instance, after his argument with Amelia, after all that stuff that happened in the capital city, you have it where Subaru can't run from anymore. He cannot run from what happened, and I just gotta say, I'm so fucking happy the writer did that. The writer is not negating the development that Subaru can get from this scene. That is right there, that made me so happy. And just knowing that Subaru didn't reset before his argument for Amelia, I'm just happy. I'm so happy to see that. That was really fucking good. That was great use of the writing of the series. So, Subaru now, he's with Rem. And he's still with the mansion to get healed and all that completely. And so he has a little small window to try to get back and save them. But honestly, it's not enough. Because the time he finally gets there near the village, it's the morning that they get attacked. They get attacked at that time. And that is pretty damn bad. Because that means that there is a possibility, a very slim chance, that some of our characters actually can die permanently. Because if Subaru can't get there in time, if there's no way for him to get there in time, a character's gonna die. I would not be surprised if Rom died. I would not. I would not be surprised if she died in this arc. Rem most likely will live. Amelia most likely will live, because, there's a lot of, things about her character we still need to know. So I'm not really worried about that. But Rom, though, there is a possibility she could be dead. She could definitely die. And it's just crazy when you think about it like that. Holy shit. So, yeah, this is a really good arc. I like the direction this arc went. I like how, Subaru with his checkpoint, the way it's put at, because he can't redo some of the things he's already done, and he has to live with those choices he made, and this adds for more development between Amelia and Subaru, which I can't wait to see. So, overall, this episode of ReZero exceeded my expectations. Way past my expectations, and I know I've been talking for quite a while now, actually. I think this video might be over 15 minutes long, holy fuck. So, yeah, ReZero, this, by far, one of my favorite episodes of this year of anime. When I do, my summer, or not summer, what I'll do, my 12 Days of Christmas and stuff, if I pop up, my top 5 favorite episodes of the year, this is definitely in it, instantly. Definitely in it, because nothing, in my opinion, honestly, I think is going to be able to beat this. Maybe Mob Psycho, it's a possibility. Maybe other series from this year could surprise me. But so far, everything I have seen, this is the best. Hands down. So, yeah, we have a main character that has transcended madness, maybe acting, out and wants people to feel sympathy for him. We have the main villain so far of this arc that's just crazy but jolly and has a lot of power. The Rim suffering is just too great, and oh my god. You know what, one thing I need to say before I wrap up this video. It's kind of unfair. I think it's very unfair for all the other female characters in this series after what happened in this episode. I think it's just so unfair to really compare any other girl to Rim. Because Rim, oh my god, I mean, she had the focus of arc 2, and then now she has the focus in this arc. It really just opens your eyes up to how good of a character she is. And, I mean, how can Emilia really compete with a character like Rim? I mean, granted, Emilia is the main female character. I'm willing to bet she's going to get a lot of development in the future, which could change my opinion rather quickly. But at this time, though, I just... Damn, how do you beat something like that with Rim, with her twisted, mangled body? She crawls over to Subaru and then, you know, tries to save him. I mean, and then says, "I love you" in his arms before she dies. Just think about that scene for a second. Like, how does any other female character in this series beat that? You just don't. And I mean... That is something so cruel, too. I mean, it's really sadistic in a way. The way the writer did that. Because there's many series I've watched in the past where I would want a female character to just say, "I fucking love you" to someone. Or the main male character. And had this finally confronted. And Subaru confronted this romance between Rim and himself rather tragically. She says, "I love you," and dies in his arms. So, I wonder how he's going to feel about that after everything is said and done. Because we do know Subaru... He likes Emilia. He likes her a lot. So, what's he going to do about his feelings, or what's he going to do about Rim's feelings for him? Is he going to just say, "No, I can't," or is he going to fall for her? I'm just so curious. You know what? I would really like it if Subaru fell for Rim. I would. I would really love that. Not because I just like Rim so much right now, but because it would be so original. Because you always see it to where the main male character gets with the main female character. Emilia, Subaru, they usually would get together if everything is fine, if she doesn't die in the end. They usually get together. So I would love to see a different, like, example of showcasing that Subaru wants to be with someone else. Rim, I would love that. It would be a really great direction to take the story. Now, I highly doubt that might happen, but I would like that. I would really love if that happened. So that's it. That's my thoughts of this episode. I know I probably rambled for a bit. I'm very sorry. Forgive me for that. I know this video is probably long, and not many of you probably are going to watch to the end. I'm very sorry about that. I just had to express my thoughts on this episode because it was just that fucking good. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.